But I will say, the more I learn about this, it's the second oldest profession in the world, it's beekeeping. Yeah, who knows what the first is? I have no idea. But I'll tell you what's fascinating about the bee is even Charles Darwin was like, if there was one creature on Earth that could unravel my entire theory, it's the bee. And that's because there's this self-sacrificial love that they have for the hive. It's very weird to have that be something, right? Because you know when they sting, they don't make it through that, right? But the bees are interesting, right? And I'll never forget getting that box and the vibration of 10,000 bees in your hands. You gotta try it sometime. I mean, that and some Mojo and some Activate, that'll get you waked up. But it's amazing to me that they secrete wax through these glands, and they go get their nectar, which is their carbohydrate, and they get their pollen, which is the protein. And an average bee lives about 30 days. Do you know that? Wow. At the height of the season. And it just gets me thinking, like, wow, this bee is born into this hive. They graduate into a role where they're nursing the brood, the new, baby bees that are hatching. And then, as they get older, they, create more and more responsibilities for themselves, going out and finding food. And they're incredibly docile, so they're, depending on the queen. But, one of the most fascinating things, okay, is that there's a gentleman by the name of Hirsch who in 1940 won a Nobel Peace Prize because he discovered, for the first time in history, a decoding of the honeybee's language. Like, what is the language? Well, besides all the nerdy stuff I could get into for like an hour and a half here, their language and their communication is what makes the collective super organism so effective. Their communication is really unique. In fact, he discovered what's called the waggle dance. And what I love about this particular thing is the bees know where to get the nectar. And they come back to the hive and they do the most bizarre thing. They start dancing. And in this dance, there's three things that it shows. One is the direction where the nectar is. So bees have magnetic fluid in their chest cavity that connects with the magnetic field of the earth.
Whoa.
Okay. And they can tell by where the sun is in the sky where the nectar is.
Wow.
Well, what if it's cloudy? Well, they're polarized eyes, okay? They can always see the sun. And the interesting thing about this is they start doing this dance because they want to tell everyone where the mother lode is. And they start doing this waggle dance. And the interesting thing about the waggle dance is, as they're going up, if they go 5 degrees this way, it's 5 degrees from the sun. The length of the dance, 5 seconds, is 2.5 miles.
Wow.
And the intensity and the excitement of the dance tells them how much nectar there is. No parallels at all. In fact, it's so fascinating to me that you can actually, I'm going to post a video later on my Facebook, a little reel of our bees doing the waggle dance, because you can find where the nectar is and actually go find what they're talking about down to the millimeter. Imagine being able to communicate, know the way, show the way, go the way. In fact, someone I know who's very near and dear to my heart actually might be able to help me describe the waggle dance a little bit better. She's going to lead you right to where the nectar is. Too much. Anyway, we're going to say something. If I cross the line, okay. Okay, let's get into the topic now. One of the things that we need to talk about is your purpose and passion and being able to tell others where the nectar is. Every single one of us needs to be able to communicate and communicate effectively. There's some things that I'm going to teach you in the short amount of time that I believe will take your communication game to the next level. And really, an event of any kind, now this is going to apply towards anyone doing a Zoom, a Facebook Live, anyone going live on Facebook, anyone doing a home meeting. I know it's a little old school, but hey, we love our living room legends. One of the things is you've got to go into that event with a purpose and a plan in mind. And the thing that I think is really important is to set an intention before the event even begins that you're going to be enrolling the audience. Now, enrolling the audience might mean customers and associates, but the point is you're enrolling them in something bigger than information. And so, purpose going into it is to what? Close the room. We want to get people onboarded to the vision of Trinont because we understand that it's going to make their life better. Yes?
Yep.
So, we got to do some things to set the stage here. Now, obviously, we could go into some logistics. You're going to want to make sure your lighting is facing your face. Okay? Not that dark room with a lamp behind you and a weird silhouette speaking. You don't want that. And what I personally do, and why so many people are like astonished that I'm so tall when they meet me in person, is because I have a little desk thing that holds my laptop. Why? Because energy flows when you're standing so much better. So find a way to elevate yourself whenever you're going to communicate. Setting the stage can also look like just making sure you have your technology in check and everything like that. But moving forward, before I even begin an event, I visualize. And so we're going to do this real quick. And I just, if everyone could just close their eyes. Okay? This is the process I use. And I want you to just imagine for a moment that you're on this stage. And that you're communicating. What are you wearing? What does your voice sound like? What is the posture that you're carrying yourselves with? What do you see when you look at the audience after you make a really inspiring point? What are you noticing? What emotions are coming up in that crowd? What is the outcome of that event? Are you seeing the finished work from that space? And can you see yourself in the victory of it? And this is a process. Everyone can open their eyes. Did that feel amazing? Did it not feel amazing? Okay, because I'm like, we could work on it a little bit more because that was a little underwhelming, but I just want to bring you into that space of every time you're going to communicate, to visualize the outcome. It's extraordinary what happens when you can see yourself postured, because most of the time public speaking is what? Scary. It's scary. People, it's like the worst, scariest thing, right? And so if you can go in seeing yourself in the best case scenario, more often than not, you're going to find those results manifesting. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Next one is detach yourself from the results and just be yourself, okay? Do not take yourself too seriously. I mean, look at this jacket.
It rocks.
Okay, well, thank you for that. But you want to have fun. You want to lighten up. You don't want to be so desperate for the result that that's coming across in your resting presenter face. Okay? Because sometimes you just feel like you have to say what you have to say, but more often than not, if you're fluid and you start to learn how to go with the flow, people are going to respect your energy level and posture. Okay, we're going to talk more about this in a minute. It's important you understand who your audience is. What questions are the guests asking themselves as you're speaking, and how can you close them before you ever get to the end of your presentation? I think we can all remember when we first saw Trinont, we had a few questions, right? It always kind of boils down to, can I do this? Would I have success? Would I be supported? Would I have the time? What could you integrate into that communication that would inspire solutions when our subconscious mind errs negatively and creates these roadblocks? What could you do to take those roadblocks down before the information's even presented? When I watch these speakers who take the stage, you guys, I'm in awe at how they're able to create and craft such powerful information and deliver it in a way. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah. You get to see, I would suggest you begin taking notes on the delivery. Maybe you've heard the presentation 16,000 times. I know I have. But every time I go in with the intention that I'm going to learn something from the way that that person is presenting this. It's why we should be showing up to the overviews that are collective overviews, because there is always something to learn, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the pregame. Obviously a few things go into the pregame, but when it's game on, let me just say, a presentation will generally fail if edification is lacking. Why? It was said from this stage that third-party validation creates, not a prophet in your own land, creates this power, this connection. When you edify, you're building something up. Okay? You're creating something for others to put their nectar and pollen into. Just had to sneak that in there. Just seeing who's following me. But edification is important. What is edification? It's not about their story. You're not telling someone's story. Someone's story is their power. You're telling accomplishments and character. And I love edifying. I think it's one of the most profound things, because guess what happens back? When that person gets up to present, they're going to edify you back. And how powerful is that for your guests to really experience? Amazing. So starting with my story. What is a story anyway? The story is, once upon a time, there was a problem. Okay? What was that problem? What was the pain of the problem? What was your before turn-on pain? Get familiar with it. You're going to be talking about this a lot. Over and over and over again. With no lack of enthusiasm, you're going to talk about the pain before turn-on.
That's right.
Then what? Aha. There was a moment. There was something that changed everything for you when all of a sudden the veil was torn and you could see a light at the end of the tunnel. What is that aha moment for you? Write it down. What was that moment where you were like, I'm home? And thirdly, what's the happily ever after? Because I took decisive action on the aha moment, I was able to experience this benefit, this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. What is that doing? It's building a bridge between you and the guests. If you're not telling your story powerfully, no one can cross the bridge. Relatability and connection create massive power for you in communication. Next is, you do want to add some value. Now, story sell, facts tell. The reality is we do need to know some facts. But here's the thing, you don't have to know all the products. I mean, like, I'm not necessarily the most duplicatable presenter, I'll be honest, because I like to nerd out on things. But what I love about your ability as a presenter is you can inspire me equally with your personal testimonial with any of these products. Hashtag keep it compliant, guys. You want to reach everyone. Everyone we know has a different learning style, personality. They're going to have a different way to receive the information. The sponginess is going to be different for everybody. You want to make sure that for the shark, you're getting to the point, you're talking about the money, and here's how we're going to do it. For the whale, oh, you're talking about live to where you live and helping others. For the dolphin, talk to Katrina Jensen. If you don't know what that reference is, just hang out with her for a minute. But no, seriously, people are that category. It's going to be about the fun, the community. Oh my gosh, you're going to have the time of your life building this. And for the urchin, which purposefully doesn't have a sound effect. we're gonna need to drop some data and to kind of unravel that skeptical mind. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not trying to put anyone into a category, but generally, these are the different avenues people are learning from. You have to meet them where they're at. They're seeing life, we are all seeing life through a specific lens. Your ability to be a master presenter is finding those lens. Build engagement and rapport. You can do so many things. This is what I write down frequently, by the way, is, hey, let me know where you're viewing from. If you're live on Facebook or whatever, you're like, hey, just say something in the comments. No, I'm just kidding, don't say that. But you know what I mean? Like, you want to get those algos working for you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's talk about engagement hacks. I'm going to spend the majority of the rest of my time on this. Use energy shifts every 40 to 60 seconds. What is an energy shift? Oh my gosh! What is an energy shift? It's creating a scenario where you're breaking the status quo. You're using a hand gesture. You're making a slightly weird joke. And if the joke doesn't hit and everyone looks at you with this look, then you make fun of yourself and it fixes everything. That's my course in comedy. Power of the pause will enrich every presentation. The inflection, the crescendo, the fall, everything about life is in music. We build, and we sustain, and then we fall back down. We listen to it every day. As a presenter, you need to create that scenario for your listener. Body language. Okay. I want everyone to stand. Okay? Stand straight up. Straight up. Notice, what are we doing? Well, we're standing. Thank you. Now I want you to do a little squat without hitting your neighbor in the head. I mean, the neighbor behind you. And then I want you to raise up it slowly and get to about 95% of the way. This allows the most energy to flow through your nervous system and creates the most ability to move. When we lock our knees, don't do that, it shuts down the energy flow. So if you're walking, walk loose like this. This is a vocalogist, I spent a lot of money to learn this. You're just walking like that, okay? It creates just this amazing Thanks, Jeremy, you got me? Just, like an Italian. Okay, you can be seated, thank you. Next is eye contact. Have you ever met someone, and don't name names if they're here with us, who looks at your forehead when they speak? Or your nose, or your chin? Yeah, me too. I want you to know, one of the things that Jennifer Dowd taught me that I have totally adopted is looking deeply into the eyes of your audience. You've got to connect. Your toes should be pointed towards the audience. If you're on a Facebook Live or doing a story, you want to be positioned to, and you want to use hand gestures, by the way, that open the heart, because that is a connection hand gesture. Also mirroring. If you got a guest on the Zoom who's like, then that's how you're going to be. This is one of the coolest closing techniques. You match their energy, okay? Okay, whatever that is, you're mirroring the person in front of you, because what? People can relate to what they see. And first impressions matter. Okay, now, diversity and vocal inflection is one of my favorite things to talk about, because truly, our voice is so powerful. It is the soul. Our voice is made of a specific, unique, no other voice is like yours. When we speak, especially from the diaphragm, it vibrates the muscles and bones in a frequency that is not like anyone else on earth. You have a sound inside of you that has the ability to move and influence and inspire. And so I'm going to teach you a quick thing, and then we'll move right along, okay? Breathing is extraordinary. If you breathe where your shoulders lift, you're breathing in fight or flight, which is your upper lung. And it's gonna take some training to move the breathing downward. And I want everyone to sit on their seat, okay? Kind of on the edge of their seat like this, with a straight back, don't hurt yourself. And I want you to know that the diaphragm is actually like a drum head. And it's got this really interesting elasticity that happens, and it fits at the very bottom of your ribs. And when you breathe in, it goes down, and when you breathe out, it goes up. You want to breathe as deeply down into your back as possible. And actually, one way to do that pretty simply is to lean forward and take a deep breath and allow your breath to go down instead of up. You can feel it expand through the back. Does that feel different? Absolutely. Now, when we breathe down, you want to pause for a second and hold that air. And you want to only speak as you're breathing out. And when you're out of air, you hold it for a moment. That unlocks actually an entire mechanism called the psoas muscle. And deep breathing can unlock some pretty powerful potential in you as a leader. So I definitely suggest working on this. But one of the things that is very, very important is to do the lip buzz. Yes, I'm going there. So we're gonna do what I just taught you. We're gonna breathe down, okay? And on the way out, we're gonna do this. Yeah. I know some of you are like, is he just making me do this right now? But yeah, I actually did it yesterday before I gave my testimonial in the hallway, and this guy caught me coming out of the bathroom and was like, and I'm like, now you know what I was doing, okay? I'm not trying to be weird there. But I'll just say, doing that for 3 minutes actually trains your breath to empower your speech. It's one of the biggest hacks. It's called the Alexander Technique. People use this in theater, people use this in singing, but it's powerful for you to know that that is a way to train your vocal inflection to allow you to be more influential. Is that cool? Okay. Now we're all gonna practice it later, and then we'll all be weird together, okay? That's great. So here's the thing, as you're arriving on the finish line of a powerful and impactful, closing, productive presentation, understand, actually I'm gonna go to the second one, that your question is the most important way to end that conversation. Are you ready to get
started?
Are you ready to get
Started.
Okay, now from a deep breath, are you ready to get started? Thank you, very good. Just a lot more power behind that. Now, not everyone's going to be a close on the spot. In fact, like we talked about in follow-up, it's going to take a lot sometimes to get someone really engaged and enrolled. But the reality is I never leave a meeting without booking the next meeting. It's silly when you have a captive audience to not set the next exposure. Generally, I'll do it the next morning. What are you doing tomorrow? That's a great question to ask. Get a second exposure lined up and mix it up. Don't do the same information, maybe bring an upline in, maybe do something different. But that's a really powerful thing. Build vision in partnership with the person in front of you. And what does this mean? This means you and I, with your connections, with your community and your personality, and what I've learned and how I know how to grow this, we would be unstoppable together. Create that vision for someone so that they can see the partnership. Have boldness. The world is full of whamsy-pamsies. It's time for you to stick out and be rare and have that bold, courageous statement that is a little scary even as it leaves your mouth. We need to be bold in our approach because what we have is the best industry-wide. There is no one like Trenon in this space. And finally, because we know bees only have a 30-day lifespan, they're taking every minute and making it count. But one of the things that I appreciate is the elder bees. The elder bees. they're raising up wagglers. And they've done scientific experiments on this where they actually show these elder bees teaching the way. And the new bees don't get it right away. In fact, they're all kinds of messed up. They don't know what they're doing. They kind of mess it up a little bit. And that's okay. This is the point. You cannot be perfect in presenting. It's progress over perfection. You start how you are today, and that is the greatest presentation that guest has ever seen.
Yes.
Let go of it. You don't have to be a certain way, look a certain way. Never compare yourself to anyone else. Please. The greatness inside of you is unique. The sound coming out of you is unique. Who you are has never been seen before on this earth, and it's time to be heard. So thank you guys. Let's go.